Hi, in this session, we are going to discuss about some of the basic Linux commands. Let's get started. To execute all the Linux commands, we have to access the terminal first. To access the terminal, click on the Activities menu on the top left corner and select the terminal. As you can see here, the terminal has opened for us. You can double-click on the title bar to maximize the screen, and you can press the Ctrl+Shift+ button on the keyboard to increase the font size. You can use Ctrl- to reduce the font size. Now let us try to understand about this prompt. This is what is called as the Linux prompt. This Linux prompt consists of 4 parts. The first part of the prompt is the username. So this always indicates the name of the user who has logged into this machine. Then the next part indicates the host name. So this indicates the name of the host into which the Linux user 1 has currently logged in. The third part indicates the present working directory. This gives an idea to the user as in which directory the user is currently working in. And the last part is called as the user prompt, which indicates whether the user is the local user or the privileged user. If the user is logged in as the local user, then you would see the $prompt. If the user is logged in as the privileged user, then you can see the hash prompt. Before we start executing all the commands, it's very much important to understand the common syntax for any commands. In Linux, the commands will have a generic syntax. The generic syntax would be the command followed by options, or also called as the switch, and followed by the list of arguments. The command here represents the name of the command. This option indicates all the possible operations that can be performed with that command. And the argument list is the list of argument which is provided to the command. You can also use the other syntax, that is command followed by the argument list followed by the options or the switch. So these two are considered as the valid syntax for a command. Some of the invalid syntax for the command is argument list followed by the option and the command, or option followed by the command and the argument list, or the option followed by the argument list and the command. Let us try to understand some of the rules for specifying the options for the command. The options are generally specified by using a notation hyphen just before the option. For example, the ls command can have several options, and those options are specified by using a special symbol hyphen. Suppose if you have multiple options, then you can specify ls followed by -l space -r space -h. One thing should be noted that there should be a space between each and every options and the command. Or you can also write the same command in another manner by using ls followed by hyphen followed by lrh. When it comes to specifying the arguments, it is very much important to maintain the spaces between the arguments. If no spaces are specified between the arguments, then the argument is considered as invalid. For example, in the first example, here The cp command copies the content of the file 1 to the file 2. If the file 2 already exists, it will overwrite the content of file 2 with the content of file 1. But in the second syntax, as we have not mentioned the space between the two arguments, this argument would be considered as the first argument for the command, and hence it fails to recognize the second argument for the command. Hence, this command is invalid. Now let us try to understand some of the basic commands in Linux. Now let us try to understand the basic commands in practical. The first command we are going to learn is the echo command. Echo command is generally used whenever we want to print a string on the console or whenever we want to print the value of a variable. For example, if we want to print the string hello Linux, we can use echo followed by within the double quotes hello Linux. You can also use the single quotation whenever you want to print the strings. Suppose whenever you want to print the value of a certain variable, such as the system variable or the script variable, we also use the echo command. Let's see how it is done. Now in this example, we are trying to print the name of the shell that we are currently using. $0 is a special variable that stores the name of the program that is running within the terminal. So in this case, the name of the program that is running within the terminal is the bash. Similarly, we can print the value of a user-defined variable such as as you can see here, it prints the value of the variable a. The next command is uname-r. This command prints the version of the kernel. The version of the kernel consists of 5 parts. The first digit in the version indicates the major version number. The second digit indicates the minor number. The third and fourth number indicates the build and patch number. The fifth number or the fifth value indicates the edition of the Linux that we are currently using. And the last value indicates the bit version of the operating system. Overall, this gives you the value of the kernel version number. The next command is the pwd command. Pwd is used to print the working directory. It also known as present working directory. As you can see from the output, it is going to print the absolute path of the current working directory. The next command is the date command. The date command prints the date and time of the server. The next command is the calendar command. This command is used to print the calendar for the current month and the current year. For example, if you want to print the calendar for a specific month and specific year, you can use the command cal followed by 4 followed by 2020. This command prints the calendar for the month of April and for the year 2020. Suppose if you want to print the calendar for a specific year, you can use cal followed by 2022, as this command prints the calendar for the entire year 2022. The next command we are going to see is the clear command. The clear command simply clears the terminal. All the Linux commands are stored in a particular location in the Linux file system. In order to determine the location of a particular command in the Linux file system, we have a command called whereis. Suppose, if I want to know the location of the ls command, I can use whereis followed by ls. From the output, you can see here, this is the location of the binary for ls, and this path represents the location of the manual pages for ls. Suppose if you want to know as which user you have logged into the server, we can use the command whoami. As you can see, it prints the output as Linux user, as Linux user 1 has currently logged into the server. As a beginner in Linux, we may not be familiar with all the commands and all the options in Linux. Suppose if we want to know about all the options available for a particular command, we have a command called man command. The man command is called as the manual page. It is used to display the manual page for any command. Suppose if you want to display the manual page for mkdir, which is used to make directories, I can use the command man followed by mkdir, as it prints the manual page for the mkdir command. To quit out of the manual page, you can press Q. At any point of time, if you'd like to know the list of all the commands that you have executed so far, we have a command history. So the history command is going to give you the list of all the commands that you have executed. Suppose if you have to re-execute a command which you have already executed in the past, you can execute the command by exclamation followed by the command number. For example, if you want to execute the clear command one more time, you can use the command exclamation followed by the command number. So here, the command number or the sequence number for the clear command is 47. So to re-execute this command, we are going to use exclamation followed by 47 as it clears the screen. The last command that we are going to discuss is the env command. It displays the list of all the system variables in Linux. Suppose if you want to print the location of the current shell, you can use echo followed by dollar followed by the name of the variable. As we discussed earlier, the echo command is used to print a string on the terminal, or it is used to print the value of a particular variable. In this case, we are trying to print the value of a particular system variable, that is shell. Similarly, We can also print the present working directory by printing the value of the variable. This covers some of the basic commands in Linux. Thanks for joining.